Diversity action plans to improve enrollment of participants from underrepresented populations in clinical studies. Guidance for industry. Section 2. Background.
Clinical studies characterize the safety and effectiveness of medical products intended for the prevention, treatment, mitigation, cure, or diagnosis of many conditions or diseases. Some populations in the United States are frequently underrepresented in biomedical research, including clinical studies, even when they bear a disproportionate burden for certain conditions or diseases relative to their proportional representation in the general population.
There are myriad reasons for this, including but not limited to assumptions regarding the feasibility of enrolling a population in a clinical study that is representative of the intended use population and the impact on study timelines, and the lack of the prospective development and implementation of a strategy that helps ensure enrollment and retention of a clinical study population representative of the intended use population.
Efficient development and approval, clearance of medical products, is a highly desirable goal for the public, sponsors, and the FDA, underscoring the importance of prospectively defining the approach to generating data for a broader and more representative population early in the clinical development program.
Consistent implementation of actions to improve representativeness in clinical studies can support more equitable and timely access to medical discoveries and innovations, improve the generalizability of results across the intended patient populations, improve our understanding of the disease and/or medical product under study, and inform the safe and effective use of the medical product for all patients.
FDA has issued several guidance documents to provide recommendations addressing measures to enroll representative populations with respect to specific demographic factors, for example, race, ethnicity, sex, age group, and general measures that enhance diversity in clinical studies, for example, broadening of eligibility criteria when scientifically appropriate, including in the post-approval setting.
Scientific experts and stakeholders have also provided recommendations on strategies to ensure diverse clinical study participation and to improve evidence generation for the population for which the medical product is being developed. Such measures include starting with intention and deliberateness to achieve study population representativeness as part of the clinical and operational strategy.
In general, clinical study diversity helps ensure that clinical studies appropriately test the product in a representative sample of the product's intended use population. Factors to consider when setting enrollment goals include demographic characteristics, for example, race, ethnicity, sex, age group, clinical characteristics, for example, presence of comorbidities, disease etiology, and other characteristics, for example, access to standard preventive and diagnostic care, access to standard treatments of the clinically relevant population.
FDA has published guidance with recommendations for the inclusion of certain populations, e.g. females, including individuals who are pregnant and lactating, older adults, pediatric populations, in clinical studies. Moreover, FDA regulations require investigational new drug IND application holders to include in their annual reports, among other things, the total number of subjects initially planned for inclusion in a clinical study, and the number entered into the study to date, tabulated by race, gender, and age.
In addition, a new drug application, NDA, must present effectiveness and safety data by race, gender, and age, and must identify any modifications of dose or dose interval needed for a specific subgroup. For certain pediatric studies, FDA must take into account the adequate representation of children of ethnic and racial minorities.
Consistent with Section 3602A of FDORA. This guidance primarily focuses on diversity action plans for the enrollment and retention of a clinically relevant study population to help ensure adequate representativeness of study participants that reflect different age groups, sexes, and racial and ethnic demographic characteristics.
However, FDA recognizes the broader issues regarding health disparities and differential access to healthcare and clinical studies that may occur based on other factors, including but not limited to geographic location, gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, SES, physical and mental disabilities, pregnancy status, lactation status, and comorbidity.
As applicable, FDA encourages sponsors to consider such additional factors, which may support subgroup analyses when developing diversity action plan enrollment goals.
For example, a sponsor developing a diversity action plan that specifies enrollment goals disaggregated or tabulated by race, ethnicity, sex, and age group should also consider the potential that pregnant or lactating individuals with the condition or disease may use the medical product.
Follow Diversa Trials on LinkedIn, YouTube, and your other favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to check out our other FDA DAP draft guidance videos. Thanks for watching.